Man, just like I said, listening to that live, you just feel it.
Yeah, you can tell they play out all the time. They got that thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, how long have you guys been together? Is it 25 years?
Yep.
How about that?
Yeah.
25 years. How can you stand to be around anybody?
Oh, that's easy. We broke up for 7 years.
Right. Okay. Right. But that wasn't that with you had the voice thing. Can you talk about that? What
I did lose my voice. I did lose, but that was we broke up for a while, and then I lost my voice, and then we got back together.
We got it out of the way. We like retired and did all that shit, broke up.
Yeah.
And then we got back together again.
Okay, so what? First of all, tell me about the losing the voice thing. So you broke up, then you kind of got back together, and then all of a sudden you couldn't sing.
No,
How did that happen?
We broke up, and then we had some lineups of the band that like kind of didn't work, and then finally, I lost my voice, and then we kind of like shit-canned the Spin Doctors for a while.
Wow.
And then a club that we used to play at back in the day called the Wetlands.
Right over there.
It's really close to.
You can see it right over your
place.
head.
Really?
They were closed down. They
basically,
asked us to get back together to do like a reunion gig for their closing, and we got back together, and the old chemistry was there, and we all kind of realized it was crazy of us not to keep playing together.
My good friend Ken Ober, who used to be on this MTV show with me, used to hang out with, wasn't John Pop? Didn't you guys work with John Pop, or is he like your
I
buddy?
went to high school with John Pop.
Oh, that's what it was.
And our bands, the two bands, Blues Traveler and Spin Doctors, like came up together. Those guys gave us a lot of opportunities.
And he said you guys were amazing. So you live, you played like, I don't know how long, but like hour-long
yeah, we used to do these like band segues. We're actually putting
We did one like 3 months ago. We played at the Cap up by the Capitol Theater with Blues Traveler like
up in Connecticut,
3 months ago.
We're trying to put a whole run of gigs together with them for November.
Yeah.
And when your album in '91, Pocket Full of Kryptonite, I guess, when that dropped, I was a high school kid. I thought for sure. I told you. I thought you guys were from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Just because everything was coming out of Seattle.
Right.
I thought maybe Portland, maybe somewhere in Washington, but you guys are in fact a New York City band.
New York City, yeah.
Yeah, Elizabeth Street.
Wow.
Wow. Mean Streets.
Yeah.
Back then.
That's Scorsese. Well, that's Scorsese territory, Elizabeth Street.
I live on that block now, the taxi driver row there. It's a lot different than it was back then.
Right. Now it's like high-end fashion stores, but it was all like that's where Scorsese's from too.
Really?
Lily.
Well, it seems like New York City as a whole is getting nicer and kinder and friendlier. Because that's my impression.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Having
it's a
been
whole
here
different
for all
city.
of like 3 weeks, really.
Yeah, when they played here, it was like you had to go to those. You had to go to those recording studios on 40th and 8th back when that was like the worst area, right?
Yeah, it was gnarly back then.
Yeah.
We did some of our first demos there.
Yeah.
And back in the day when they lived on Elizabeth Street, to get to our shows, we used to like bring all of our gear in taxi cabs. So I would go over to the Bowery and I'd hail a cab.
When the Bowery
and
was
I'd
the Bowery.
sweet talk the cab driver like, hey, we got to bring some stuff to a gig, but don't worry, we'll give you a big tip. And we'd come around the corner and he'd see all of our amplifiers,
The big stack of
and
drums, and the guy'd be just like,
and they'd be like, oh no, we'd just talk them into it. And we had 2 packs because they had the Chevy cabs back then and the Crown Vics. And we knew how to pack, like, the Chevys had a big spare tire that got in the way of the amplifiers. So we had to put more stuff, like, we'd squeeze everybody in there. It was
And when you guys play in Brooklyn or Queens at all, those places out there, all the rock clubs for like the local kids?
Well, right. We just played the Brooklyn Bowl, which is owned by the same guy that owned.
Back then.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Not really. We just played Manhattan.
No, we used to
there
play
weren't a lot of
somewhere.
places. There weren't a lot of places out there, at least that
was
catered to
Lamar.
what we were doing. There was like the heavy metal club.
Lamar.
Lamar, you know that place, right?
Yeah, that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used
we
to go
never
there.
played there.
Mark was in
Lamar
like
East.
7 million bands back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he played everywhere.
I played everywhere. Peppermint
everybody.
Lounge, when it was over there, Peppermint Lounge.
Yeah.
That's old New York.
And Heartbreaks was right downstairs here. That was like the trendy club.
And the Cat Club.
The Cat Club.
Yes.
We did one gig at
Yeah,
the
we
Cat
played the
Club.
Cat
On
Club.
13th
We did
Street.
one gig at the Cat Club.
Played a bunch of CBs.
So funny.
Yeah.
Which is now
CB's
John
what
Varvado's store. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's amazing what happens to old rock clubs, right? They should do a book on them. I mean, like the Fillmore is like a bank, and
Right.
where I grew up, which isn't in New York, but where I grew up, there's this club I used to play at that's like a driving school. It's like they pick the worst shit.
That would be a good book.
to turn the club into. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did buy my shirt there, though.
Oh, really? All right.
How dare you?
Hey, so
Billy's rolling over in his grave.
yeah, you guys are you guys are touring on this new record right now.
Yeah.
And how do you compare touring in 1991 to touring today?
I have an iPad now, so it's much easier.
Yeah. back then it was like you're just in a van. It was like when sun go down, Gilligan go down. We just sit in the van like just in the dark, arguing about what radio station to play. There were no cell phones. It was like nothing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
that-
no
but then-
cell phones, right? There was no cell phones. You had to figure out
I
what's
know.
going on in the truck up ahead by what the brake lights are doing.
No, there was always one guy. There was one guy whose dad had a cell phone and his like.
It's like,
Yeah,
like
but it
this
was like
big.
this big.
Yeah.
It was in a case like this
It
big
was-
with like a clunky thing with the curly
Yeah.
wire on it.
It was in his
We didn't
Ford
have that.
Bronco 2.
We were nuts though. We'd be driving around like the Rocky Mountains in this van, in the middle of the night, trying to get to the next gig.
Well, you guys. Well, what about after Pocket hit big? I mean, traveling. Two buses.
We had
then?
two
Yeah,
buses.
just two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got another bus and got a crew.
That was
and-
great.
And,
Wow.
Yeah, it was good times.
Wow. Well, which do you prefer? I mean, now that you're established, 25
Now we're
years
back in
in
the
the
van again.
business.
yeah, we're talking about we're
Gone all the way back.
Yeah, now they have these new things. What do they call them?
Sprinters.
Sprinters. That's like the new.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like
Sprinter,
That's kind of in between the van and the bus.
Right,
seen
right,
that.
And you
right.
get Wi-Fi, and you know.
Yeah. you get
Yeah.
one.
There you
And
go.
you have your iPad.
Oh, you get Wi-Fi.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
the
our,
Wi-Fi thing. And
our attitude now is we'd rather be in a Sprinter and get a hotel room at night
Yeah.
than live in a bus and sleep in the bus every night. That's
yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
That's
I
like
guess.
being in the submarine corps in the Navy or something. Like that.
Yeah, right. It
You
is
guys,
true.
does anyone? Do you guys have families? You guys have kids and stuff that you have
Yeah.
to
We all
Yeah,
have kids.
We all got kids.
think about? Like, how does that work? Touring all around. Do you?
We
bring
do
the
more
kids
like we do
sometimes?
more like weekend warrior stuff now with like runs of like 10 days to 3 weeks, and then we take like gigs over the weekend. So it's pretty civilized. We don't go out on the road for like 12 weeks at a time anymore.
Right.
And it's super manageable.
Yeah.
In the summer, like we go out on a Thursday, we come back on a Sunday.
Plus, as your kids get older, you can get away from your kids.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And they're
Anybody-
psyched.
anybody
They're
with
like,
older kids.
they're like, so when are you doing another tour? I like.
When will you leave us,
Right.
please?
You know.
Hey,
Please.
So everyone is familiar with the older stuff. The newer stuff, it's falling on virgin ears. And so the people like to hear your older stuff. How do you feel about being asked to play, Little Miss Can't Be Wrong and stuff? Does it make your teeth grind together? Like
No, man,
No,
we love.
no.
I mean, it's great. It's great to play the old stuff when the new stuff feels as good as our new stuff feels.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're running around trying to play some new thing that's supposed to be somebody else's answer to the old thing, that's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's like it really is. It's like a nightmare. It's like running around with a nightmare. This is like we're back in the old days again. It's like we got this record that's like it's on fire when we play it. The songs are like hot.
Yeah.
And they sit real good with the old stuff too.
Is it a lot bluesier now? I mean, that second
Yeah.
song was real blues.
Yeah, this is
based.
we made basically a blues record. And back in the day when we started out, we were a blues band. To make a living in New York City, you had to play these blues clubs back in the day. And we were all blues freaks anyway. So we were supposed to play covers. Rather than play covers, we wrote a bunch of
originals, yeah.
original tunes and played them in these clubs and totally got away with it.
So it's part of our, it's a part of our root chain at this point.
So it's
Yeah.
cool because
Yeah.
we play this new stuff now, and it's like the missing link. You can see how songs like "Little Miss Can't Be Wrong" came from this like kind of blues foundation that we were coming from. So
Right.
it fits seamlessly, and we like our mature. We're lucky. I think that Two Princes and "Little Miss Can't Be Wrong." If I had two songs that I was gonna have to play like pretty much at every gig for the rest of my life,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would choose like any other two
Right.
songs.
That's cool. That's cool. that you
Don't
have
you
that.
guys? Did you guys do like long concerts, like Springsteen length concerts all the time?
We usually play like a little under 2 hours. So I don't know.
Well, I usually leave Springsteen in under 2 hours, so you're right. That's what I meant. That's it, Bruce. I gotta get up tomorrow.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Exactly.
What other stuff do you guys listen to? What other stuff that's contemporary do you like?
I like M83.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like
What-
crazy European music.
Oh, really?
Crazy European music.
MA3?
M83.
M83.
And I'm listening to a lot of Liz Phair, I love her.
Uh-huh.
Stuff like that.
Okay.
You guys
So-
ever hear of a kid named Justin Bieber coming out?
I like some other Canadians, not some other Canadians.
My daughter was like way into Justin Bieber. Just the other day, she was like, "Oh,
He's
she
over
like just
already?
grew out of him." I'm like, "Oh, he's really bad." But
Well, that's
she's
something
got
to
she's got
celebrate.
cool musical taste. She's
Good.
like, "Oh yeah, you gotta love Muddy."
Really?
Yeah,
Your
she's
daughter?
like she likes Muddy Waters and Justin Bieber.
Well, I
She's-
think it's probably.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are probably listening to pretty fundamental stuff. I mean, you're
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
listening to Muddy Waters at home, so that's what.
No, like
she's
one time
exposed to.
I was like, "So Pink Floyd," and she was like, "Dad, I am your daughter."
Oh,
That's cool.
My kid thinks that what I listen to is not hip at all, man. It's like
Really?
Skrillex and all that stuff. He's into that dubstep stuff. You know,
Really?
he loves telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. It's cool. It's cool though because I remember doing the same thing. Right? It comes around.
Yeah,
you go,
right.
okay, well that's all right.
Now, are your kids musicians as well?
Yeah,
play?
are they all musicians? Well, basically, they have to be.
My daughter's a visual
You know.
artist.
Oh, really?
I mean, I play the guitar. I told my kid years ago, I said, listen, man, you don't have to play the guitar, but you need to know about the guitar because, you know, it's like, it's a guitar world. And that's because somebody told me that a long time ago. This
Really?
cat I met a long time ago, he says, man, it's a guitar world. I can prove it. You go anywhere, you'll hear a guitar.
That's true.
It's a guitar
That's
world.
a good point. It is a guitar world and a bass guitar.
Yeah,
world.
That's mostly guitar
We're just
world.
living in it.
I think it's more bass guitar world now with the hip hop influence, the
Yeah,
rap
that-
influence.
it's
more
a
now.
bass
than-
guitar.
That's right.
More.
The bass guitar.
There'll be no living with him.
It should be the bass.
Yeah.
Mark's a master.
It's only got 4 strings, so it's cool.
Yeah. Well,
4 fingers, 4 strings.
I got news for you guys. It's a lead singer world. Look in any magazine.
It's always been.
Right.
Well, that's a
nice.
given.
yeah. If only.
And look, and the drummer never says a word, just like a real drummer.
That's not
Just
true,
keep quiet the whole time.
Aaron's very articulate.
He's trying to say something, but these two won't stop here. So.
He wants
always a
desperately
quiet
to tell
guy.
you what he's listening to right now because he's listening to probably.
Yeah, what-
I got my headphones on right now.
What's on your what's on your iPod
Aaron's-
right now? Aaron?
Aaron's
With
the
the-
hip
he
one.
has an actual record player he listens to. Tell him about that.
I got a turntable, man. I'm going back to vinyl.
Nice.
Really?
Me too, yeah.
Well, you know, it's like
Nice.
I invested in a really great sound system about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Bought all the CDs and stuff, and then the last 5 years I've bought a couple hundred records on my on the computer. So I end up plugging in my little iPhone into this little cord, and I'm listening to it through this amazing sound system. It just doesn't sound that good.
Yeah.
So finally I decided I was going to go buy a turntable and go out and buy my favorite 100, 200 records. So it's been great. I mean, I hadn't done that since I was like a teenager.
Right, right.
And I saved all my records from when I was a kid too.
Oh,
Yeah, it's cool. So it's
that's
pretty
great.
cool. They're not in great shape, but it's it's fun to.
My wife and daughter got me a turntable for Father's Day last year. So every night at dinner we listen to vinyl.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's nice
I'll
to get
never
up
do
and
that.
I like getting up and flipping it.
Our new record's
25
coming out.
minutes, you
You can
flip
flip
it, you
Yes.
can flip the
This
record.
one's coming
It's
out
like
on
a-
vinyl.
And
The River's
suede.
whiskey.
That's
And
awesome.
leather's coming out on leather, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, if the river was whiskey, the Spin Doctors, 10 new songs on this bad boy.
Yeah.
Produced by the Spin Doctors as well. You guys are doing it all.
You did it in Aaron's studio.
Yeah, we even recorded
And
it.
it's
at his
no
house.
money.
Yeah.
Right down in old taxi driver land over there.
That's
Did
right.
he pay you for that?
Excellent. Well,
And it's critically acclaimed.
really?
Yes, and I didn't say that.
Okay.
I
did.
waited
This
for
is
a critic to
critically
say that.
acclaimed.
Only a critic
go.
can say critically acclaimed.
Well, guys,
From the desk.
thanks so much for coming. Please come back a lot.
Amazing.
Thanks, John.
If possible. We love you. The new album,
Great.
If the River Was Whiskey, the Spin Doctors. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks, John. Thanks,
Thank you
Colin.
very much.
Appreciate
Great
it.
job, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
More on
guys.
the Artie Lange Show coming up.